Last night's loss, did his legacy take a hit?
I'm sorry, Kerry, did you ask me?
No, it's me, Skip. Listen.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Peyton Manning, the answer would be yes. But what I would ask us to do is understand that, or ask Peyton Manning to understand that no one's questioning his greatness. Nobody's questioning, from an historical perspective, what he means in NFL lore. He will go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. He will go down as a champion. He will go down, he'll be up there. He'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. We all know this. But what has come to an end is are questions involving, would he be better than Montana and Brady and those guys? That's a wrap. That's over. Because it's not that he just lost. It's how he looked while losing. Mm-hmm. The fact of the matter is, Colin Kaepernick looked better against the Seattle Seahawks than Peyton Manning did. That's just a fact. Drew Brees in getting outscored 34-7 on a Monday Night Football game or losing to Seattle in the postseason, he looked better than Peyton Manning did. Aaron Rodgers would have looked better because he's more athletic. He's not a stationary target. And some of those throws wouldn't have flooded, wouldn't have been duck throws. You can't escape this reality. And look, I watched last night our post-game coverage, Skip. I was very, very proud of Chris Carter. Trent Dilfer does an outstanding job as always and made his point. And then Chris Carter came back and was like, we didn't make any excuses for anybody else. I wanted a ring. I never got one. We didn't bring up Dan Marino and no running game and no defense. We didn't make any excuses for him. We didn't make any excuses for Brett Favre. We're not going to make any excuses for Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning got rocked, man. He got whipped. He got embarrassed. He got beat down. Now his offensive line didn't help him. Those receivers that turned into straight up punks, scared to death, petrified like deers in headlights off of the hits that they were taking. They were straight up petrified. I know it's petrified, but I said petro for emphasis. I know the word. I'm telling you, it was that bad. And so for me, when I look at Peyton Manning, you had 2 weeks to prepare. You are making the calls. You, on the opening play, that kind of mistake happens when you had 2 weeks to practice. You are down, and you throw the interception, you go down 22-0. John Fox and these boys go for it on a 4th and 2. You can't get a first down. And then it got to the point where a mid-concession speech was given because you're down and you're on Seattle's 39-yard line. And it's a 4th and 11. And the man chose to punt. I mean, listen, everywhere you turn, Peyton Manning, just shrunk. It just, listen, it was bad, man. I'm trying. I really am trying because he's so classy. And he deserves our respect, and he has it. But the conversation about him being above those guys are over. Because I got to tell you this, Skip, in fairness to you, Skip Bayless, I don't care how he got outperformed in the AFC Championship game. I don't care what weapons he's devoid of. I find it very, very hard to believe that Tom Brady would have looked like that yesterday in a Super Bowl encounter. I just find that hard to believe. I certainly don't believe Aaron Rodgers would have done that. I don't believe it. Peyton Manning was a stationary target, man, and his limitations and whatever deficiencies exist got thoroughly and flagrantly exposed. It was bad, man. It was real bad.
It was bad. I echo what you say about Chris Carter last night on prime time. I was also, I guess, proud of him is the right word. I just applaud him because he delivered the cold, hard facts about Peyton's legacy. Stephen A. Smith, It took a huge hit last night for all the reasons you just detailed. You've said over and over and over, it was just bad. Skittish, shell-shocked, overmatched. And I said last week going into this game that the impact was going to be 2 to 3 times the normal Super Bowl on legacies because the degree of difficulty was so high on both sides. Number one ranked defense, number one ranked offense. Maybe all-time great offense over here, potentially all-time great defense over here. I wrote last week for ESPN.com, Peyton Manning, if he could beat this defense and beat it thoroughly, he could win the equivalent of 2 or 3 Super Bowls in one night. Now it feels like he lost the equivalent of 2 or 3 Super Bowls in one night. His postseason record, as you know, falls to 11-12. In Super Bowls, he is now 1-2. And remember, his QBR last night, Stephen A., you know my favorite stat, 0 to 100, Peyton's QBR was 24.4. And that was the worst we've seen in a Super Bowl since Rex Grossman's 7.1 against Peyton Manning's Indianapolis Colts, the only Super Bowl Peyton has won, where I said the degree of difficulty was pretty low in that game, maybe a 4 on a scale of 10, because the Colts should have beaten the Chicago Bears. I think they had the 5th-ranked defense that year, and they had a virtual backup at quarterback in Rex Grossman. So now you have to step away and you say, well, gee, Peyton had a chance to pole vault up the all-time rankings, and instead he fell on his face. So I stand by what I said. I don't want to rub it in this morning, Stephen A., but I didn't have Peyton in my top 5 quarterbacks. I did not have him above Brett Favre at the 5th spot, and I definitely don't have him above there now. And as you point out, let's just stop it with any talk about better than Brady, better than Montana, heck, Brady better than John Elway. We can go on and on. Now he falls way back in the pack because clearly he is the greatest regular season quarterback ever. Nobody questions that. But too routinely, he has failed to live up to his regular season greatness in the seeds he has won in the regular season for his football teams in Indy and Denver with 13-3 after 13-3 kind of records and number 1 seeds. He just hasn't cashed in enough in the postseason to make an all-time great case. Last night was a huge hit on Peyton's legacy. Would you not agree with